It's good to see you.
Y'all want to go ahead and just review the minutes from last month? Go ahead and get to where we can approve those.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Give me some of this.
Approved.
So there's no old business for today's meeting, so we'll move into new business with exemption corrections and the NLDs.
Once again, just as an explanation for some of these exemption corrections, you know, S5s, which is your disabled veterans, can be added at any point in time during the year. The disabled veterans exemptions are the only ones that can be added at any point in time during the year. Other exemptions, your standard exemptions, a lot of your state exemptions and all, they are applied for between January 1st and April 1st, and you have to apply by April 1st to get it to go into effect for that year. But the veterans exemption is not that way. They can apply at any point in time during the year, and as long as they're qualified, they can get that exemption for that year, and possibly even for prior years, up to 3 years of exemption. If they bring in the letter and they've been qualified, living there, and so forth, for the homestead exemption. So that's what those are. We also have what the NODs are part of our audit campaign that we do with TBS, Trade Business Service, Mountain Oak Mill LLC. Those were it's the mill down the street that Michael Harris owns, and those were the NODs were discovery that they made when they do our audits. Just quickly to explain again, our audit program, we are required by the state to have outside audits of personal property, and we do that every single year. The accounts are selected randomly by our personal property appraiser, Beth Rainey, and approved by the Board of Assessors. And then the audit company goes in and just basically works with the company to make sure all the paperwork they fill out and send to us is correct. And just so you know, it's not like we're out there trying to just find money. We have done audits before where they've actually over-reported things and we've had to refund money. So we're just making sure that whatever they send in is correct. So the Board of Commissioners approves the budget for that. It's $7,500 a year. We use that money to do those audits. And generally speaking, it'll bring in more money than what we spent to do the audits. I don't know, there's been more than a year or two since I've been here that we didn't bring in that. And it's simply because these companies sometimes just are not aware of what they should be reporting to us through the audits and so forth. But it's a learning experience for both the county and the companies that are audited. So that's what those NODs are, and that's what that Mountain Oak Mill LLC is for unreported.
Is this informational only, or do you need a vote?
No. It's just for information only. That's correct.
Next, we've received our 2023 public utility assessment notices. We have Shannon something to be able to add. And then Jerry signed it, mailed everything out on December 1st.
That's right. Jerry came in on the 1st and signed these. These are the, as Charlie mentioned, the public utility notices. Those are your power companies and your gas companies and your telephone companies and so forth. And these values are given to us by the Department of Revenue. We're not allowed to change their values. They are the ones that set the values for the public utilities. We do set the ratio of 40% because that's what our audit shows that we have each year is our 40% level of assessment. So that's what we do, is we set the equalization rate. They set the values, and if any of them are appealed, it goes directly to the state, and the state works those appeals if there are any for public utilities. But I think, Shally, if I remember right, our public utilities went up this year.
Yeah, on the last page, you'll see, last year's values compared to this year's values. Like, 339.
I'm sorry, can you speak up, please? We can't hear.
On the last page of the public utility values, you'll see the spreadsheet of 2022's values versus 2023's values.
About 28 million.
Mm-hmm. You know, most of that, interestingly enough, most of that's generally in power companies and everything, the Georgia Power, the Diverse Power, and all of that. So their values tend to go up each year as they're doing more and more through their companies. So we generally have an increase in public utilities each year. And these are numbers that are not on our digest when we do our digest work in September. When you know, you guys have to come in and sign all the paperwork and all for our digest. And those numbers aren't available at that time. We generally don't get these in until sometime November, December. This year they came in, I think, right at, well, they're dated November 21st. We got them later than that. And so that's normal. And like I say, it's done by the Department of Revenue, and we're just at their whim as to when they finish up and get them to us. And that's all 159 counties, so it's not just us.
Okay.
So that's our public utility digest this year.
All right. Any further discussion on that?
Next, we have a motor vehicle appeal.
There was a motor vehicle appeal that was filed on 11/29 by Mr. William K. Harrell. With this being said, he was filing an appeal because of the value that the county, the state, owned a 2016 Ford Transit van. The van had needed body work and had over 350,000 miles. The state value was $29,825. Mr. Harrell made a return on it of $4,500. Here are the detailed pictures that was taken, the checkoff list on the transit van. It's in need of some body work. Would you like to see those? And with the inspection and everything that was considered on there, the Kelly Blue Book return value was $7,748. With all those things in consideration of what was going on with the van, my recommendation is to accept the Kelly Blue Book of $7,748. There again, the state had over 29,000 on it, but with the conditions, as you can see with the van, and he paid the $4,500 on there. I recommend that we accept at least the Kelly Blue Book value of $7,748. So that would be my recommendation on that. If y'all have any questions.
I don't. I agree with you.
Okay.
All right,
I'll
we
make a
just
motion
need
to approve it.
to approve the
To approve the
7,000.
7,748.
Okay. We have a second.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. And we'll get that up to the tax commissioner's office, so that they'll have that. All right.
Followed by that is our 2024 pre-bill mobile home digest.
Okay. We have a total of 278 pre-built mobile homes here in Harris County. Pre-built mobile homes are mobile homes that are not tied in with land. There's no homestead or anything applied. They're basically like personal property. So we have a total of 278 of them. We have to approve them in order for the tax commissioner's office to have bills to be mailed out by January and for the bills to be paid in full by April 1st. So with that being said, Shall and I rode a couple of days just basically to review some of the pre-built mobile homes. Some of them that was removed off the property, we needed confirmation of that. And then also there was a list from the tax commissioner's office that they wanted us to go by and check as well. With that being said, we have a total of 278 pre-built mobile homes and just need an approval for the tax commissioners to be able to send out the bills in January. There's also a preliminary list of all of them that's enclosed, and if anyone have any questions.
These pre-built mobile homes, the values never change a whole lot. They appreciate a little bit, that type of thing. But there's not much of a change. We're very fortunate that we only have 278 of them, to be honest with you. Some of these counties have thousands and thousands of pre-built mobile homes, which I just can't even imagine that. But we have so very few, and they're getting fewer, aren't they, Pam?
They sure
I can
are.
remember it was only just a short while ago we had over 300 of them, and slowly but surely they're getting destroyed, getting moved off, moved away, that type of thing. So we're having fewer and fewer, and we hardly ever see a pre-build come into the county, do we, Pam? But every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then.
But not very often. And generally, when we see that, it's a relative putting it on the property now. So.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
By that, we have our waiver and release for palmetto properties. We were able to agree on the value before going to the Board of Equalization, which would have required a hearing officer. So we got that done with about 2 days' notice to cancel them.
And by the way, it didn't change our value. We stayed with our value
They
on
stayed
the
true to our
property.
value after
And,
sending them some spreadsheets.
right. Once Jay got with them finally, it's hard to get with their people sometimes, but once he finally got with them and showed them how we arrived at our values and so forth, they agreed with us that the value was good, so they signed a waiver so that we could dismiss the appeal.
Locked them in for 3 years.
Do you need a motion to approve on that? Okay.
And make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Followed by that, we have a updated copy of our Board of Tax Assessors rules and regulations. Do you want to go over the changes that are in there?
I'll be happy to. I think that's probably why we have company here today at our meeting, is we are changing the way we do things a little bit. Just to give you a little background on the Board of Tax Assessors and so forth, the Board of Assessors is a 3-member board that's appointed by the Board of Commissioners. And its guidance is ordinance number 02-02, which is an ordinance to create the Harris County Board of Assessors. You'll have a copy of that as well. And this was done back in May of 2002 when this was set up. And the setup, basically, I'd like to, more than anything, read section 5, which is the composition of the Board of Assessors as approved by the Board of Commissioners. Of the 3 persons appointed to the Harris County Board of Tax Assessors, one may, but is not required to be, Chief Tax Appraiser of Harris County. no less than one, nor more than two, shall be a member of the tax appraisal staff in the office of the tax appraiser of Harris County. One shall be a qualified member from the general public residing in Harris County. So just kind of breaking that down a little bit, what the Board of Commissioners have set up for the Board of Tax Assessors in establishing that is that it's a 3-member board of which at least one, but no more than two, come from inside the office. Pam is our employee that works within the office, but is also a board member on the Board of Tax Assessors. And then Jerry and Lisa are outside board members. And you have to qualify to be on the Board of Assessors. There are rules and regulations that generate that to where you qualify. The length of the board members now are 4-year terms. And they're staggered terms so that people are not coming on or off at the same time, which can be difficult oftentimes on boards. So they set it up so that they're staggered, which is the way, like I say, it should be. As far as the compensation for the board members, the Harris County tax appraisal staff shall not receive additional compensation for serving on the Harris County Board of Assessors. The compensation for the members from public at large shall be set annually by the Harris County Board of Commissioners. Okay, and so that's the way we've always done it. That's the way we've always followed the lead of the Board of Commissioners on that. Our budget is prepared annually. We budget for $100 per month is what we've always budgeted for our outside members of the Board of Tax Assessors, which is $1,200 per assessor. That is a stipend that is paid to them on a monthly basis. And folks, that's $100 a meeting. That's $1,200 a year to be in charge of the Harris County Tax Assessor's Office, which is, in my opinion, not because I'm chief appraiser of the assessor's office, but in my opinion, it's one of the offices that really has to do a lot of work to make sure this government runs properly. As you all know, the majority of the income that's received by Harris County comes from property taxes. Like it or not, I don't like it necessarily. I have to pay my taxes like everyone else does. But that's the system that's set up by the state of Georgia, by the legislators, who are far smarter than I am. And so that's what we're dealing with, is the majority of that comes from the generation of property taxes. Our office, in my opinion, has done a fantastic job over the years. The staff has, the Board of Assessors have, in making sure that we do what we need to do to make this county successful. And what that means is we stay on top of our values. We adjust our values, whether they're going up or down. In my tenure here, over 20 years, I've seen both. I have seen tremendous growth, as we've seen over the last few years, and before that even. And I've seen terrible downturns back if y'all remember, back at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, for about 4 straight years, we had negative revaluation where we had to go down on our values each and every year because that's what they were doing. We don't set the market, we follow the market and what it does. And our board has always done a good job of doing that, of helping our office get good values on real estate, personal property, all tangible property in Harris County. And so they're responsible for that ultimately, the Board of Tax Assessors. They do a lot more in the background than I think most people know and understand. They're always there when I call them. We have a great board, in my opinion, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why I think that is. We have an appraiser, we have a lender, real estate lender, And we have a realtor who was recently president of the Board of Realtors for the state of Georgia. We have good, competent board members on our board, and that's the reason that we've always been successful, in my opinion. They help us out tremendously in trying to determine these values and so forth, and making sure that we do things the right way. Honestly, and I've said this before, I've told the Board of Commissioners this, I've told people this, the last thing in the world we want is a rubber stamp board. We're not going to have one of those. That doesn't help anybody out. We want folks on our board that are knowledgeable and that can do a job and know how to do a job. Yes, ma'am.
On your new thing, you say meetings must be attended to receive compensation. I know what this is all stemmed about.
Right.
I had a very lengthy discussion that I may not be able to attend all of these meetings. So my question to you is, am I just only a tax, on the Board of Tax Assessors one day? Is that all? Because when people call us throughout the year, do I say, sorry, I can only talk on the day of a meeting? Because I think that's something to consider for all of us, because we get called, I mean, you get calls, I get calls. Am I just a one-day Board of Tax Assessor, and I need to know if I am?
No, that's not what you are, and that's what I have been getting at. That's why we budgeted to pay the Board of Assessors $100 a month. Because not only do you get calls, but you have to come into our office from time to time to sign additional paperwork and so forth. Jerry was just in the office the other day signing the utilities and also that we could get those assessment notices sent out. He didn't get paid for that. It's all encompassed. And that was my whole point of this lengthy speech that I just gave.
Yeah,
Is that we're 365 days a year.
I'm sorry, is there some language, it was not posted online, that y'all are proposing? We've not seen.
Yes, there it is. I'll read that for you in just a moment. What I've done is added to our local Harris County Board of Tax Assessors rules and regulations. And I'll just read the whole paragraph to you. The Harris County Board of Tax Assessors shall be composed of 3 members appointed by the Harris County Board of Commissioners. Of the 3 persons appointed to the Harris County Board of Tax Assessors, one may, but is not required to be Chief Tax Appraiser of Harris County. No less than 1, no more than 2 shall be a member of the tax appraisal staff in the office of the Tax Appraiser of Harris County. 1 shall be a qualified member from the general public residing in Harris County in accordance with Section 4 of the Harris County, Georgia Ordinance Number 0202. Members are appointed to 4-year terms. Compensation for the members from the public at large shall be set annually by the Harris County Board of Commissioners and is currently $100 per meeting. Meetings must be attended to receive compensation. That's the part that I've added into this. It's about attending meetings.
What was your rationale?
Well, we were getting a lot of flack about this in general, about not coming to meetings and being paid on a monthly basis, because the actual code section says that the Board of Tax Assessors are to be paid no less than $20 per meeting, is basically what it says. So it uses that language in there. So, once again, this is something that is just being proposed to our board.
I have a question. If I'm reading this correctly, this says compensation for the members from the public at large shall be set. How does that?
And it really should say for board, and I might not should have put that part in there about public at large. It should be set for all board members. But the Harris County Board of Commissioners has seen fit to put in their ordinance not to pay any members that are serving from inside the office.
So what the way that this is reading it and the way that the commissioners have stated is that Pam doesn't get paid.
That's correct. That's what
Any
is.
member that might be on the board.
That's right.
Is that uniform with what the state says?
Oh, go ahead, Pam. You go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, according to the state, let me say it's an honor that I serve on this Board of Tax Assessors. Number one, because of my experience in being in the office and having the knowledge of what's going on inside the office as well. I have been with Harris County for numerous of years. I wouldn't say I do as I'm told, but I just try to do my job. But according to the state, when I attended a class, that was not correct in reference to my pay. And I had several other members of other tax assessors in other counties. I do know that I have served here. I may have missed one or two meetings, perhaps, and I was never paid. Of course, I wasn't here, but then when I was on vacation and I may have not been at a meeting, and I asked, I was on vacation, but I came in. I was paid for that meeting, one or two. It was hard, complicated, but I was paid. Now, to ask the question, is it correct? Am I to be paid or not being paid? Well, please, someone tell me, because according to the state, I was told that I should have been paid, according to hearing from our county commissioners and that, not to be paid. So ask me. I don't even have the answer to that. And no one has given me the answer to it, so I don't know what's right and what's wrong. Yeah.
I remember when you and I went to a class, Caveat, I think it was. No, was it Caveat? Maybe it was.
It probably was.
But I remember that we were taught, I understand what our paper says and what others says, but it was brought to our attention that they had a real problem with people from inside the office serving as on this board, because the inside board people are the boss of the chief commissioner. Chief tax appraiser. So, that was something that was brought to our attention, and you and I went and talked to, what's his name in there, about that. And it ended up, you're very familiar with it, because you called Stacy Harrelson, and we had a lot of conversation about it. I remember this very well. Because Stacy called me and said that Pam had just called. I can remember where it was. But, we were right there. And I remember that's a big concern of the tax people, is that you have one of us sitting on your table that's in your office, that you're their boss, but they're your boss as well. So I remember that too, so that's some food for thought.
From everything I've read, it's a matter of just how the county decides for the board to be ran. I wasn't prepared to have the Georgia code in front of us for today's meeting.
Sure.
But I believe that it's in Georgia code very vaguely, also about compensation within the office and compensation in general. The state has kind of given the specific counties the authority to make their own ordinances for how they want their board to run. And the county is who has decided that within the office will not be paid, but has also kind of been vague in their ordinance about if meetings need to be attended, which kind of to make the public happy, Wayne suggested that we would put in our rules and regulations for our board that meetings must be attended, but again, this is just a presentation and how
Well, and as you mentioned, Lisa, too, when some of this came up, it's not like this being paid $100 is gonna make or break you, period. I'm saying
You're right.
that you didn't join this board because you were gonna get wealthy or anything. You joined this as a volunteer more than anything, to serve the county, along with Pam, along with Jerry.
Well, and I started off on Board of Equalization, so how many years did we say that I've been around? A while.
Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah, this hasn't
Sure.
been something I'm just doing for my health.
Well, may I add, first of all, it's an honor to serve on the board, because I think it's right for people to know what's going on inside the office as well. I've never known there being a problem with me serving as an inside member, so I'm not aware of that, Lisa. And I hope Shally, being our new chief appraiser, I'm excited and looking forward to working with you. And as far as me being an inside member, it has never been a problem before in the 30-something years I've been there. So I have no idea what Lisa is speaking of in reference of me serving on the board and working in the office as well.
I'm not sure if it was specific about Pam on the
Right.
County
No,
Board
it
of Tax
was
Assessors.
in
It's
the
the
class.
Department of Revenue has mixed feelings about if members from within the office should serve. It wasn't Pam in Harris County, it was just in
Well,
general.
Well, I did call the
There's
revenue
no
department, you know, as a matter of fact, because I spoke with them and asked, are there other counties that have inside members as well? And I was told yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that-
Also,
There's no laws
also,
against it.
I was told as far as with the pay, you know, that some of them are paid, some of them are in whatever. But I'm here to serve and do my job and get my job done and try to work with other board members, whether they wanna work with me or not. I'm trying to do my job. So at that point, if it's a problem, I would like for someone to tell me, because I don't foresee me causing problems or doing anything to anyone. As a matter of fact, my board members have called me after hours and asked for my opinion or my question or to help taxpayers, and I gave them the answer. Those were after hours, and I provided these things. So by me being an inside member, I don't see where that's a problem. Seem like that would be a compliment.
Well, and just a little history on this, the reason it came about that you could have inside board members versus general public. Some of these smaller counties, there's 159 counties in this state. That's a bunch of counties. I mean, you can count for a while to get up to 159. And what happened in a lot of these smaller counties is they couldn't find Board of Assessor members. They just couldn't find people that were willing to do this job, that were willing to take the responsibility to be on a board that's responsible for huge digest values and things like that, and to have to do this type of work. I mean, it's very difficult to find board members, much less good board members. And what I mean by that are board members that are interactive with the office, that actually know what's going on and help out, and we can count on. So it's very difficult. So that's how all that began, is the fact that a lot of these smaller counties, and still, even today, can't find outside board members. And so they didn't have a choice but to allow the staff to be part of that board as well. So that's how it all came about. And, you know, that's just the way that it's set up through the state of Georgia. And yes, ma'am.
So it's my understanding the Board of Commissioners actually set the standards
Yes, ma'am.
of who's on the board, how much everybody's paid, who's doing a good job. I mean, they oversee.
Sure.
So if there's any change to be made,
That's right.
they have to make
The
it?
Board of Commissioners would make that. That's right.
At whose recommendation? Yours, or somebody on the
No,
board,
it
or
doesn't have to be,
citizens?
well, it could be any of that, I would think.
Okay.
But there are certain standards that if they wanted to make a change, that they would have to follow.
But
And
they
so-
oversee,
That's right.
and they're
Absolutely.
happy with the performance.
Right.
Or not.
Right, that's right.
Are they?
As far as where we're.
Well, we've not been made aware that they weren't happy. I mean, they get an accepted digest each and every year so that we can collect property taxes. We get good audit ratio studies every year because we work so hard to do that. People don't understand that if we didn't work as hard as we did to get good audit numbers,
Right.
we couldn't collect taxes the way we do. You
So
have to
are
be.
are they okay with Pam?
Yes. They are the ones that appointed him.
They appoint all the members.
Okay.
That's right.
So
every
they
one.
appointed.
That's correct. That's correct. And just so if anyone has the question of why am I not on the Board of Assessors being Chief Appraiser,
Yeah.
that's obvious, that's an obvious question. Absolutely. And there's a reason for that. I don't qualify to be on the Board of Assessors because I live in Muskogee County.
Right.
I don't live in Harris County. I live a stone's throw away from Harris County, but I still live in Muskogee County, off county line.
Sally, I'm having some sidebar conversation, I can't hear all this. So,
If just one person can speak at a time.
I'd be
that would help
happy
be
to
more
speak to something.
easier.
Sure, yes, sir.
When you sign a thing for them to get paid.
Yes.
And that's $100, I'm not talking anything about $100.
Sure.
If you accept a position, they're accepting county taxpayer money, they should be present at the meeting or not accept the position.
Okay.
Sir, can I get your name? please?
Pardon me?
Can I get your name?
My name is Dwight Langston.
Okay.
And that's just a common answer to, you go out and talk to
Sure.
people on the street, you'll see what I'm talking about.
And I think where Lisa
And it's
spoke
nothing,
about.
nothing wrong, I'm just saying, you know where I'm coming
Sure,
from.
yes, I do.
If they're going
Yes,
to
well, I
accept,
sure
if they're
do.
going to accept the compensation, they need to be at the meeting or not get paid.
I've not received a paycheck all year, just so y'all know. Put that in the record too.
I've got a record, thank
It's
you.
not one for me.
I got one from
Oh, I
open
know.
record.
Y'all,
Open record.
Ma'am, that's what this
you
is all
sound like
about.
the US House of Representatives
ridiculous.
right now, calm down.
I mean,
okay?
I've been on this,
No, it's not.
they didn't sign my checks.
Let me just stop everything just a sec. Now, listen up.
It was you.
We have a time during the meeting that's open floor, okay? So let's use that for any future discussion, okay?
Okay, and so basically, I, was
So
going
this is
over
this is
the
a proposal.
proposal.
This is a proposal.
That's right. We don't have to take action on this today.
Right.
That's correct. I just put the proposal in there about the meetings being attended to receive the compensation. Like I said, we had always viewed it as a once a month stipend that you're getting for being on the Board of Assessors for all the work that you do all during the month for the Board of Assessors. So that's the way we'd always looked at it. I thought that was a fair and good way of doing things to keep good members on our board. So if anyone really has a problem, you got a problem with me, because that's the way I always thought it was fair. And now, do I think people should attend meetings? Yes, I do. And I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the compensation, the minimum compensation that we do was based on the fact that we are a 365-day-a-year Board of Tax Assessors. So that's what that was about.
Did I give notice to you every time I could not attend these meetings?
Yes.
So even prior to the beginning of the year, when I went
Yes.
through the calendar? So
Yes.
y'all did have that notice, correct?
That's correct.
And it was accepted, correct?
That's correct.
That's fine. Was just making sure. Good.
Yes.
And if it's a problem by me serving on the Board of Assessors, I wish someone, my commissioners or whoever would let me know. But like I said, I'm in honor to be inside, to sign off on paperwork that's there in the office that need approval, like on the homesteads and any of the error and release or not on digest. I'm at hand right there in the office to sign off. And I have great communication as far as with my chief here and my previous chief. And if it's a problem, I really would like for someone to let me know. Because I love my job and I honor and I respect my taxpayers. So if someone would please let me know that as well, I do appreciate it.
I think that having Pam on the board is extremely valuable, whether she's a employee or not
Thank
for
you.
the county, so that's my stance on it. I think it
Well-
helps keep an every single day pulse of what's going on in the office with a board member. I think it's very valuable, so.
Thank you, Chair.
Any further discussion on the proposal?
This is the only thing that I would propose about this, is that you not take action on it at this meeting. I would read the proposal, discuss the proposal. I would, you know, if I were the Board of Assessors, I'd talk with my Board of Commissioners about it and get their opinions on all of this, because they are the ones in charge, after all, over the Board of Assessors. We're an autonomous board. We don't fall under the county manager or anything like that. We're an autonomous board that is designated by the Board of Commissioners of Harris County. So Randy's not my boss. Greg's my boss. The Board of Assessors are my boss. Actually, I got lots of bosses. The Department of Revenue, the Department of Audits, the Board of Tax Assessors, the Board of Commissioners. We report to a lot of folks. And you know something, sometimes it's hard for them all to agree on something, and sometimes it's difficult, you know, making that understood. But I'm once again like say, this is something that I was proposing that you could look at. I think we can vote on how we want to go about this in the next meeting. We can talk about discussing changes or anything like that you may have. But I wanted to make sure we had the background set on what we've always done and how we've always approached it, and how I've always viewed it myself as chief appraiser.
And for everyone to know that it is something that has been brought to the.
I'm sorry, we can't hear back here.
And just for people to know that it was something that was being looked into, and not just the concerns of the citizens weren't being overlooked or ignored.
Right.
You know, it's been discussion, it's been lots of reading of law and the code, and it's not being ignored, basically, that's why this was presented.
Can I ask a question, or is that another time?
During the open floor would be.
With just one moment, Pam.
That's fine, I just.
Thank you.
All right.
I did have a couple things I wanted to bring to the board for during our open floor. An update of our Board of Equalization. Ms. Condon, which was denial of exemption, has filed a petition for review to Superior Court. I've been in communication with Andrea, who's been in communication with the county attorney, and we'll be moving towards planning a settlement conference to try and come to a settlement before we would have to go to court. And then I also wanted to make sure that all the board members were available for our January 9th for that date to be that day. That will be Wayne's final day, and I'd like to have his help with preparing for the January meeting, since it's a big one.
Yeah, we have to go over our beginning of the year ratio studies and all that type of thing. They're just some additional things that we do at the first meeting of the year. To follow up just very briefly on what Shally was saying about the settlement conference for Ms. Condon for the appeal that's going forward, Jerry. Typically, the reason we're having a settlement conference is it's required by law. It was put into place a few years back of anything that's going to court now. Before you actually go to court, you're required to get both parties together and have a conference to see if you can work out the disagreement. 99.9% of the time, it involves values. Somebody's disagreeing with their value. We have a value. They think they have a value, and they're just trying to get together to see if we can iron something out. This settlement conference is basically just a yes or no. She has applied for additional homestead that, based upon all the law that we can find and everything that we've discussed, it's a disabled veteran, the spouse of a disabled veteran. And so everything that we can find and everything that we talked with the Department of Revenue about, this person does not qualify for that. So that's the only reason that it was denied, is because they did not qualify for that exemption. And so the settlement conference should be a brief one. They're going to say, yes, we do. We're going to say, no, you don't. And this is why. This is the law. This is what we need to see to make you qualify for this. And they can't give us that. We've asked and asked and asked, right, Diana? So we
This
can't.
isn't a matter of opinion.
Right.
So the judge there might not even be a judge willing to hear it. They might just throw it out and say it doesn't qualify. But we have to schedule a settlement conference.
Sure.
That's just the next step in the legal process of providing.
So I don't know if when we speak with the county attorney, he should be there to represent us, but he may want the board there as well. We'll talk with him about that, because they may have questions to ask the board. You know, why did you decide this? And we'll just say we're following the law, and so forth. So, but anyway, Shally wanted you to know about this, though, because this will be coming up in the very near future. We have a certain number of days to get that scheduled.
45 days to schedule it.
Okay, so
December 6th is when the petition was received.
Sounds good. We're available July 9th, January 9th.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure.
September the 10th is the only one I can see already on my calendar.
Okay.
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 All right, now, Jerry, with this being open floor now, I think
Sure.
that's all that we had that we were bringing up. And now, if you'd like to have anyone that would like to ask a question or anything, Pam and Coach had a question.
I'd just like to make a statement.
Yes, sir.
I've known Wayne since he was 12, 13 years old. I played on my baseball team, and I've known his family. And Wayne is a good, honest person. His family is a good, great family, which either one. So I don't think anything about this thing reflects on Wayne in any way. But I also served, and I moved to Harris County from Muskogee County about 30 years ago. When I was down there, and I was involved in politics and so forth, and up here too a little bit. Then I served on the Board of Elections down there. I was a Republican representative. Had 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I was a Republican representative on the Board of Elections in Columbus. And didn't know that we got paid at all until I got my first check. You know, I thought I was doing it as public service. You know, and I would miss a meeting every once in a while, and I wouldn't get paid for it. And they finally, you know, they started having them at lunchtime so I could make some of the meetings, you know. And then I moved up to Harris County, and I've been on the planning commission up here, and I've been on the Board of Elections. And Pam can tell you, Pam was on the Board of Elections with me, and I resigned that because I'm still involved in politics, you know, and a friend of mine was running. So I resigned from that, and it was the right thing for me to do. But the planning commission now, we got paid on that. Didn't know that we were going to get paid. We got paid on that too. And you talking about getting some calls on the plan, rezoning calls. Now you got a lot of calls, you know, on that kind of thing when you don't have meetings. But I wouldn't get paid if I didn't go to a meeting. So that's the thing. You know, you have to do some things sometimes. People, they know you're involved in elections or you're involved in planning something. People gonna call you, and people gonna stop you on the street and stuff like that. So that goes with the thing. But I knew that went with the thing. So, and I knew that I wasn't gonna get paid if I didn't show up for a meeting, and that's okay. I mean, I didn't do it for the money anyhow to start with. So that's all I gotta say.
What's your name?
Just
Wayne
1
Harper.
second.
Wayne.
Harper, H-A-R-B-E-R-T.
Yeah, I just have a question because in listening, we found out there's no state regulation that prohibits an employee of the tax office from being paid.
That's correct.
All
There's no
right.
state regulation.
So who would make a recommendation that Pam should be paid? Because I bet you if you looked at her job description for what she's doing for the county and what she's paid, there's not a line in there that says, and serve on the Board of Tax
Sure.
Assessors. Okay, so she's not being paid by the county.
That's right.
In her formal job to do this, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's right. It's not
So-
part of her job description.
Who
That's
would
correct.
make that recommendation? Because I'm just looking at this equitably.
Sure.
As a reporter or a former reporter.
Good
and
one,
as
by
a
the way.
journalist, you know, I look at things rationally, equally,
Sure.
okay? And if you just asked, because I know the tempo of folks on the street, because I talk to them a lot, still do. But if you presented this to them and said, okay, there's no state reg whatsoever that prohibits Pam Jackson from getting paid. It's not part of her job description. She comes to every meeting, she works after hours, all of this. Do you think she should be paid by the county? I guarantee you 99% of folks would say yes. And I'm not sure who would make that recommendation, if it would be you
No.
or a citizen, call our commissioners, I don't know, but
Pam, what has to be done is this ordinance that is approved by the Board of Commissioners would have to be changed.
would have to be changed.
That's correct. And only the Board of Commissioners can do
Who would
that.
suggest to them to do that?
Anyone could
Okay.
suggest that.
So are you saying though that she would have to clock out from her other job to come to work this job? I'm just asking that question, so how would that work? Because she wouldn't be working for the tax commissioners at the same time she's tax assessor. Where am I keep going with commissioners? Tax assessors at the same time, so she'd have to clock out of one to come to this one. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Because that would be.
I don't have an answer for that because I'm not her superior and I
Well,
don't
yeah, but
run
I'm
that
just,
office.
we're just having
But what I'm
conversation.
saying is, to keep it equitable,
Sure.
and I mean, I can call my commissioner.
Sure.
And other people can, you know.
Absolutely.
Just
And the first step was
because,
to check the Georgia code, because that was the one that I said we didn't have it in front of us, and I'm not sure, I read so much of it that it does mention specifically some rules, and it mentions some that, you know, are left up to the county commissioner, so that would be the
so
first
that's
step,
left
is
up
find
to the
that.
commission. There's
You
no
know,
state
if it's left up to
regulation
the
that
commission.
prohibits
Right.
her from being passed.
That, as far as I know, that's
And
absolutely
usually your
100%.
meetings run, what, 30 minutes at the best, at the most?
Generally
Usually an
around
hour.
30 minutes to an hour, somewhere in between
So,
that.
you know, if you wanted to dock her pay 30 minutes a month,
Well,
Well,
That
Yeah.
make more money.
or see what that would be. I mean, you know, when it comes to money, I remember telling when, you know, the newspaper sold, and the new owner was gonna cut my pay 50% and take away all my travel. I did the numbers and I looked right at him and I said, you know what, at the end of the month, I'll be writing you a check.
I understand.
You know, very few people do things for the money,
Right.
especially if you're passionate about it,
That's correct.
okay? But the money and what, the ethical part, or what's fair, those are two different things. Or what's expected of a person to show up, that's that's apples and oranges, okay? What you're paid and your due. That's just two, that's just two different things. But anyway, now we know how to get that
Sure.
ordinance changed, would just be,
That's right.
okay.
That's right. Yes.
Wayne, I just want to make sure everybody understands it's nothing personal. I'm sure Lisa does an outstanding job. It's nothing to do with Lisa.
Sure.
I'm proud of you. It's the system, like I
Right.
said, talk to you, and you and I can agree to disagree and still be friends.
That's absolutely
That's
right.
all I want to understand. It's nothing personal. It's the system that I've got to disagree with.
Sure.
Okay? Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for making sure we had that clarified.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If that seemed to be a problem with the money wise, the time that she spent in the commission, in this meeting, she get lunch breaks. So perhaps she can take a lunch break for this meeting, because it seems to be, from what I'm hearing, that it's a problem with her sitting on the board due to money. So
No, I think you're misunderstanding that.
I don't think
there's any argument of $1,200 annually for Pam. I don't think that there is anyone saying that that's not
The
justifiable.
$1,200 is me,
Is
And-
is Lisa.
And I also don't think that, I don't think it's warranted saying, okay, clock out for this meeting. It's all related, y'all. I mean, this is, everything that we're discussing is exactly what she's doing on her day-to-day job.
And I also work after 5 too,
So-
Yeah.
with phone calls and whoever, and it's an honor. It's a, you know, people call you, I want them to call me. I see them in church. I mean, I have board members, Lisa have called me several times after 5, and I'm available, even on the weekends, if she had a question that needed an answer. So I'm available to the public to serve, and it's an honor. So let me say that.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Connie Guy. This has taken a life form of its own. When I started coming to these meetings, and you will remember, because I asked, and you'll remember, Ms. Vale will remember, Shally, I kept asking process questions, because I wanted to understand the process. Several months in a row, I asked, but I'm trying to understand the process. What do we do with the process? And so I started doing some investigation a little bit, trying to understand the process. And a few things kind of came to mind, because I've tried to be thorough. Of course, there's all sorts of information that I've not seen, and I'm aware of that. Like, I would definitely like to look at wording and stuff so that we can have input to you guys before you approve something. But Andrea provided me with the letter that you had drafted. And I don't know who it was addressed to, it doesn't have a to, so I'm not sure who the audience was, but when I'd asked her for some information.
Well, Ms. Connie, you know what? I wasn't sure who the audience was either. I wasn't told who the audience
Fair
was. I
enough.
was just told, Wayne,
Okay.
you need to address this
Fair.
scathing letter that was written about the Board of Assessors.
Good, a perfect answer, because I didn't know either, and that is a good answer. One of the things I saw in here, it said it was agreed a few years back that the board would be paid once a month. Well, and so I came from a strong business background. Who made the decision, and where is that documented? And the third piece to that is, whoever made that decision, were they authorized, or did they have the authority to make that decision? I'll ask those questions, don't expect answers
Right.
today, because
Sure.
I'd like people to
Sure.
look into that. And it said that this amount's been paid whether they attended a board meeting or not. Okay. Well, you said several times that $1,200 has been set aside for outside board members to be paid once per month. The budget is budgeted for board members $100 per meeting, not per month. That is how it's been for years, not per meeting, and it is for 3 members. I didn't get into whether Pam gets paid or not. That has just taken off over here. I did not get into that. Pam attended the meetings. Pam was there. I did not get in at all to Pam didn't. I looked at data, just whatever data I could find.
And you saw where it was budgeted for 3 board members.
Correct.
And you know what? I've done that every year, just in case the commissioners change their mind, we have money in the budget to pay Pam.
Well,
And Pam knew that I had budgeted for it every year.
Okay.
So,
And I'll just kind of do this a little bit of a flashcard. It's information from Andrea, and I didn't pull up Pam's because this isn't,
Sure.
the green, this column right here, the first column, meetings that Jerry attended, meetings Jerry got paid. When I did the analysis, confirmed by Andrea, meetings attended by Lisa, big long red, paid, the red actually was paid when not attended, and she's right, she hasn't actually been paid since January 13th, 2022. It wasn't submitted. Not getting into that, I'm just talking about the data. This is what data is showing me. I could take the names off of all of
Sure.
this. I could take every name off of this, and perhaps that is a good way to do it, and put this blindly in front of, as you said, community members, and say, do you support this? Do you agree with this? And take all of the names off, because I was asking process.
sure.
Please remember that. And I did that meeting after meeting after meeting, wanting to understand. I went further in, the Georgia Code. I have it here. I have been reading the Georgia Code and the Harris County ordinances. And one thing I'm not clear on is when you were talking about this new thing, this new blurb, if that's the right word, does that get, because you're calling it 0202, does that go into the ordinances? Because the ordinances for the Board of Tax Assessors is Article 5, so I'm not sure quite where that goes, because this is what I found when I looked under county ordinances.
This is what was given to me by Andrea, which is the ordinance for the Board of Assessors, and it says number 02-02. That's
Okay.
what I was given, ordinance number.
Okay,
It was
so
done
this-
back in 2002.
In 2000, ordinance 2, okay, got this right down here, okay, because it's Article 5. So here it is in the paren 0202. I have the whole printout of the
Sure.
whole thing, okay. But I'm not sure what that is supposed to replace, or if, so that's why I would like to just see language to see where
It
that,
should be the same thing.
well, it wasn't lining up, so it would have to replace some language. And I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again,
we can't replace any language in an ordinance,
Yeah.
just so you know.
So
That's
that's-
strictly the Board of Commissioners.
right, and so that's why it would be, I read contracts for many, many years, so that's kind of.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, really. So though, I had not met any of you when I started coming to meetings. I'm also going to commission meetings. I'm going to planning meetings. I'm going to development meetings, trying to understand how our county works and understand what is sort of happening. I'm of the opinion, my opinion, that being on a board is a public service. It is. You may be asked to serve on a board, and you choose to or you choose not to. Fundamentally, I think you would be hard pressed to find folks who would say, you can be on the Board of Election, and these are the important ones to me, the Board of Elections, the Board of Tax Assessors, and we don't care if you come to the meetings. This is a 3-person board. It's fair to say that Jerry and Pam might disagree, just for grins, on that language. If there are 2 members here, how do you decide? It's a 3-person board. 3 people, in my opinion, should be making decisions. Because what do? Flip a coin? You have to kick it down the road and then call someone and say, you really need to come to the meeting because we need you to vote on this? How have you handled it in the past? Has there ever been a disagreement? Don't know, don't have to answer that. But that is a reason that there is a 3-person board, I would think, instead of a 2-person board. That there would be, and you can't vote. Sure, you can come in and sign some papers later on during the month. That's part of that public service that everyone is engaged in. And I don't discount that. But the capstone, to me, personally, of agreeing to sit on a board is that when taxpayers come in, which Addis has been doing it a lot longer than I have, that taxpayers can see a thought process. We can hear the cross discussion, that we can see and understand different points of view. If someone says they want to serve, but I'm just gonna pop in once a month or a couple of times a month, but I'm not coming to any meetings, as a taxpayer, that's a little bit of a disservice. I don't know the thought process that goes on behind that. And just to be there, and I'm not picking on y'all. Guess who's next? I am going to be doing this kind of research in the county because there needs to be some standards. And the state is very hands-off. And the county commissioners are very hands-off with this. But I don't know why the county commissioners, one representative, can't put in for all appointed boards that there should be an attendance requirement. I get it, people get sick, I understand pandemics. Not saying those things don't happen. But if you have chosen to serve on this board, there should only be 1, maybe 2 red boxes in 3 calendar years, not 60% or more of not attending. That is simply where this came from. It was not personal. It's not just, it is about the $100, not because it's $100, it's for getting paid when the budget is designed for meetings. If you want to change the budget, you can't do it for next year. It says $100 per meeting. then you need to put $100 per month, ollie outs in free. Just, oh, and by the way, no one can get removed from the board through that 4-year period. I mean, that's, as a taxpayer and a citizen, take all of the names off of it. This board is too important not to treat it with the seriousness, and I will use the word respect, that I believe it deserves. And me planting a flag on whether Pam gets paid or not, right now the ordinance says she doesn't. If somebody wants to change that, then that's a whole entirely different discussion. Entirely different discussion. That was not anything that I was focused on the least, but it's certainly been elevated now. Not by me, but it has been elevated. I think it needs more discussion. But I just wanted to share where this came from. It was very organic. It wasn't done on a gotcha basis. When I looked at the data, it's not right. I have higher expectations of people who sit on boards.
We appreciate your input. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I have a question, and it will help me. I think it will help everybody in the room as well, because you mentioned that you have a lot of bosses, and amongst them are the board of commissioners. So, give me a couple of examples of specifically how we do exercise authority over you guys.
Oh, you do through different things such as budgets and things such as
for the money, I get that.
Yes, but you don't necessarily come to meetings and tell us what to do. That's not what I was trying.
No, not even that, but really.
But you
broadly speaking, what kind of authority other than the fiscal, the monetary side, what kind of authority do we exercise?
Well, it affects our board when you set millage rates and things such as that. I mean, we try to give our input on that, and y'all call and ask our input on, what would this do? Let's look at the recent bond issues and things like that. Those are things that we aid with that honestly I don't even know is something in our. But we do. We help with that as much as we can.
But we don't have the authority or tell you, other than appointing members, I know that, but we don't tell you how to run your business.
No,
in other words. We don't have that authority to tell you how to run
That's
your
correct.
business.
That's correct.
That's the point I wanted to try to make clear.
Sure. Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
The county manager won't pay them.
No. These guys are, Connie's right. I mean, they deserve a lot of respect, and
The
But
county
that's-
manager is not, he doesn't.
We work closely with the county manager.
and they're
But
held
he
to the.
didn't have authority over it.
That's correct. He can't fire me, in other words.
Right.
The Board of Assessors can fire me, and the commissioners can tell the Board of Assessors to fire me, and the Board of Assessors can say, we don't want to fire him, or yes, we will. But if they choose not to fire me, then you'd have to replace the Board of Assessors with someone who would fire. I'm just using that as an example. That's all I'm doing. Trying to get the hierarchy of it is all I'm doing. Is the way that works. So,
Oh, Wayne,
yes,
do you remember when I served on board of
I do, absolutely.
equalization? I was so honored to be appointed to that.
Sure.
And loved doing it.
Did a good job.
And then professionally, my life changed. And I started teaching at Columbus State. And I came to you, and what did I say? I can't do this anymore,
That's right.
because I can't do it at the meeting.
That's right.
I can't assure that I'll be available
I
every
remember.
time you want me to, because I can't tell those 35 students, sorry, Professor Avery's not gonna be here.
Sure.
And I hated to make that choice. But, and I still have to make it. There's something going on here in the county, and they gave me that. I said, y'all can't do it. Because I cannot guarantee you that every time you have a meeting, I can be there, because my life is not structured that way right now.
Right.
If it changes, I'll let you know. And I think prioritizing, especially for people that have high energy and like to be doing things, it's hard to say NO. But sometimes that's really
The answer.
what we have to do. You know, we can only spread ourselves
That's right.
so thin.
That's right.
And the thinner we get, the less we are. So, and I hated to leave that board.
Sure. Well, we hate to lose you. Like I said, it's hard to find folks to serve independently.
It's hard to find people that want to give up their
That's right.
professional and personal time
That's right.
to serve.
That's right. Absolutely.
Just ask commissioners.
Well, and you know, once you serve on something, it never really goes away, does it?
You're always there.
All right, if that's everything for today,
Will we, I'm sorry,
that's, yes, sir.
My name is Johnny Hardy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hardy.
As an observer of this particular meeting, I understand we're talking about the labor of one particular member and whether she should be compensated for that labor. Is that correct?
That's part of what we discussed. Yes, that's right.
All I know is this, time is money, and it costs money to get here, it costs money to leave here. Opportunity costs for other things being given up just to be here. So, I don't see the big deal about $100 per meeting.
Sure.
Based on the price of living in the day and age, maybe we should think about raising it. Now, I also observe, as an observer, I'm feeling or I'm getting some undercurrent going around the board that I'm not privy to. So, I don't know what the undercurrent is. But when I walked in, the young lady on the end, that was quite angry about something. Well, that's the perception I got.
You're right.
I think
Your perception is your reality, and you're right.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. We appreciate it.
the only other question, and I understand that this is draft language that
That's
you're
right.
looking at. Next steps, sorry, going back to work. But would we be able to review the wording and have input, and again, next step, assuming you guys review this, and if you vote on it, say in January, we would like to see it first, so that we can give you feedback during the January meeting. Would it then go to the county commissioners? Again, I'm a process person.
Not our rules and regulations. The Board of Commissioners do not,
So
they're
is
not
this an
responsible.
ordinance, or is this a rule?
No, this is an inner office.
That's internal.
It's an internal rules and regulations that we follow through the Georgia Department of Revenue and so forth. So it's not something that the Board of Commissioners vote on or anything like
These are
that.
Harris County rules and regs?
Right, our Harris County Board of Assessors rules and regs. Doesn't pertain to other boards or anything.
Okay, I
We
found
can't go
the
against the
ordinance, but I
ordinance.
didn't see rules and
Well, we
regs.
can't go against that ordinance, and all that was going to be changed or modified or considered is notating specifically if attendance was required per our guidelines.
Are the
to be
rules and
made.
regs, the comprehensive ones, are they?
They're not through the county, they're through our office. We follow,
Are they available?
yes
My
ma'am,
question is-
absolutely they are.
Okay, I'll follow up and
Sure.
get that to you.
Yes,
I
that's
just wanted to
correct.
see where
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are, where we're going to.
Sure,
Because I've not had
absolutely.
that. Again, I understand, I am not privy. This has been a little bit like that.
Grasping straw.
Well, or data points. This was, Ms. Fay can tell you, I came in one day and I wanted to look at a minute book, because I thought, if someone's not showing up, let me see. I just started looking at it, and I took a yellow pad and I made notes. I came back another day, because I thought I can't even read my own notes. Jotted out a little bit of a spreadsheet on my yellow pad, started trying to go through stuff. And I got home and I thought, this still is not capturing what I'm trying to understand. And I don't have the data to support it. I've got my notes and I've got X's and O's pretty much. God love her, Miss Fay, one day she pulled books for me for about 3 to 4 hours. I sat in the office, she had to go down to the dungeon to pull some stuff. Because I wanted to have a comprehensive picture. I'm data driven. I don't want to make any accusation. I just do, again, I'll blind this, take everybody's names off of it.
We
I
understand.
wanted to see what's going on and how this board is and has been operating, and if there is a better or more transparent way for that to happen,
Sure.
then let's have this free-flowing discussion about it. It was never personal to me. I am gathering data,
We understand.
and I'm doing it across the county. So, but,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I get everybody that spoke to sign this signing sheet?
As you leave, it'll be fine.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you so much for being here late.